Hey guys, new video here. Impale Champ. I've been playing this for weeks. I've tried out different setups. Forgot to go into Blood Stance, feels bad. Tried Berserker Facebreaker. Tried Champion Facebreaker. Tried Paradoxica setups. Tried like really budget. What's the two swords from the Primordial dudes? The Ons Might Swords. Tried out everything really. Tried out like no links, and this currently is with like the really good gear. So I'm just gonna first kill the I'm gonna kill this guy here. Alright, you ready? Here we go. So I drop my totem for more damage, I pop my Blood Rage and Whale Haste, I go, and then he's dead. Yo, Awakened Burning damage, that's like 10C. Fantastic. So that was the kill there. Now, because I forgot to make this video earlier, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna clear the map for you guys. And watch this. This is very important to know because a lot of people take something in like just like a vacuum and be like, oh, that's OP, right? But here is my map clear, and I'm gonna try to hurry it up. I'm gonna try to like use my leap slam, and I'm gonna put on my Quicksilver actually to like cheat a little bit. And now look at me clearing the map. Wow, it's so fast. Look at this. Now I have really high damage, but it doesn't matter when you don't have the coverage. The way that you would fix the coverage is that you could go take out your brutality and go some kind of like proliferation explosions, right? Like exploding chest. Herald of Ice, Herald of Ass, whatever you want. There's many ways to get more coverage, but that's not the scope of this video. This is just about the boss killer mode and how to scale it up and why it works the way it works and why it's like so crazy, right? So I'm gonna finish clearing this map because I always like to start the video by doing some mapping content so that you guys can see how it actually feels. Now this is a Drox map, meaning that it's a white unrolled. So in an actual rolled map, it'll be even worse because I don't use headhunter, I don't use like any juicing materials, and so the mobs are as easy as they can be for a T15 map, right? And you can see that this is not impressive, right? For the amount of money in there, the setup right here for this Impale for the boss killer, it is not meant for mapping in any way. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend it over a Molten Striker probably, right? Because like once again with the Cyclone you have a little bit of versatility. But there it is. Were you guys impressed? Were you guys impressed by that mapping ability? Okay, let's go back to town and talk about the build. So very important for you guys to see that because this isn't like an all-arounder. It's built to do one thing very well. So you've seen my mapping characters. They're built to do the maps extremely well. This guy is built to like just annihilate all the bosses. Cortex is really fast. Shaper is really fast. The realized damage with the clones from the Savior Sword Up is about probably around 70 million. And I'll talk about the POB fork a little bit about how we arrive at that number. So this guy is a champ. We're going to talk about the ascendancy first. And why did I go champ? At first, I was thinking about going like a flicker. I learned a lot by looking into flicker, strike, impale, slayers with self-bleeds. And then so I just edited the tree a little bit. And then I was looking at calculations in POB and on like Excel calculators and stuff. And I realized that like the most OP thing in the build is just the impale. Like this one mechanic as part of the build, because it doesn't even have to be Cyclone. It's just like the impale in itself is insane damage. Okay, and it is probably like, it is much better than Elemental in my opinion for if we compare like, price per performance, right? For you investing in your builds. And so Impale is really crazy on champion, so I decided to go with this. I personally believe that whether you go face breakers or you go swords like Paradoxica or whatever you want to do, I think that the champion is the most all-around build, like all-around best feeling build in my opinion. Other people argue otherwise, but once again I tested a lot of stuff, and for me I just like the benefits that the champ gives you. Okay, I'm just gonna say that these nodes right here, I would say this is like the mandatory stuff right here, because when you look at this worthy foe, enemies taunted by you cannot evade attacks. Okay, and if you see how fast my Cyclone goes in the hideout, you see that? It's 0.08 seconds. If I hit my Blood Rage, it's now 0.07 seconds. If I hit my Whale Haste or like other buffs, Onslaught, all that stuff, it's going to go down to like 0.5 probably. 0.05. So what that means is that in 1 second, I am attacking, let's just say up to 20 times. And by attacking 20 times, even if you have the worst accuracy, meaning like, let's say you're like level 99, right? Because I don't play characters at level 100. So let's just say I'm level 99 and I've invested in no accuracy, and I look in my character sheet and I have like, let's say I had like 60 or like 50, right? Right now I have 83 77, which isn't that great, but it gets the job done because once you hit once, you have 100% accuracy. So let's say that you had 50 though, right? Like 50 would be unbelievable bad. You can't even get 50 even if you like really tried, I think. Okay, it'd be like very hard. But even if you got 50, right, it'd be 1/2 raised to the power of like 20. That's your chance not to hit in 1 second, and that number is infinitely small, right? So what I'm trying to say is that with fast attacking builds, you don't need to worry about your accuracy at all under any circumstances, because with a fast attack, well, maybe if you're using like Earthquake, you know, well, you wouldn't use Earthquake with Impale, but like let's say for example you're using Earthquake, you might struggle a little bit. But for any like decent regular attacking skill, you don't need to worry about accuracy. Okay, these 4 nodes are mandatory. This one right here, and then of course. Enemies taunted take 20% increased damage. That is a more multiplier, and it's really nice because although you have a lot of other forms of more damage taken, it is like one of those like small cases where like you can just keep stacking these more multipliers, okay? And it is better than any of the other increased modifiers you can get. These don't really matter. This one right here, like, you have a 100% chance to taunt on hit. Reduce damage, that's global, that's really nice. Regen, I think in the current league with a lot of, you know, that purple damage on the ground, like coming from other places, regen is actually kind of underrated, and the regen I do feel it. That's why like sometimes on Lethal Pride, if I see regen, I might just keep that. Regen on the tree is really good as well. And then the enemies taunted, they deal like less damage, right? So this is like just defensive, and you have to take this to get to here. Now, why did I take the inspirational? Now, the inspirational here is pretty insane. You don't have to do it, but look at this. It's just like 5 and 15% increase the effect of non-curse auras. So what are my non-curse auras? Look at that. Look at that. It's just insane, right? It's just gonna apply to like, look how many swirlies are on my build, right? Okay. And so that 20%, if you think about like nodes, let's go over here. Like let's say you're like a juicer. Look at this. This is like, there's like 3% there. Let's look over your charisma or whatever. Like you got like, what is this? This is like 6% here. Yeah, it's like get that out of here. Okay, 20%, that's insane. So 20% is just like, you use so many auras, it's going to apply to those. I don't actually drop banners at all because you don't need to. The guy's going to die before you even need to press that button. But the banner skills reserve no mana, and that's pretty important because I do use a dread banner. And why is that? When I have 100%, I already have 100% impale chance. If you look right here, I have 128, right? And it's because of the banner effect, the impale effect, right? If you look right here, you have the quality also gives a lot. So what I do with my dread banner is I have dread banner, I have an empower to make it even a little bit better, and I have an enhance because the enhance makes the dread banner even better still. And look at these multipliers, right? 1.15, 1.25, and these multipliers would make the banner take up an amount of mana that wouldn't be synergistic with the other auras that I run. So by making it free, I get to make the most OP thing, Impale and Impale effect. I make the most OP thing even better for free. Okay. And the other stuff doesn't really matter. I mean, you get 12% move speed, fine, whatever. And then over here, now this is a huge node. And before I talk about, let's talk about Impale. I'm gonna link a video from my friend MB Extreme below the thing in the show info button. You might have to click on show info to see the link. But he'll go through an entire spreadsheet calculation. If you want the TLDR, right? Because I was thinking about like doing this on my spreadsheet, but his looks a lot better. So, and it just takes, it'll make the video way too long, okay? Because his video is already like, what, 10 minutes plus. Basically, the TLDR is that it sticks, the Impale is a natural 5 stack on the target. It never goes away until it's used up, if it's used up. And it is 10% unmitigated damage, right? A hit for 100, 10 is stored. That damage that is stored is impacted by things like Impale effect, okay? And then so when this scales up, to give you some broad numbers, right, as a champion, you can just imagine this as a multiplier of, let's just say like around, like for me, it's gonna be around like greater than 180%, I think. So I'll have to check my math on that, but it is a multiplier of like 180% more damage, okay? And this is ridiculous, okay? Because it's not like that multiplier is like on some shitty like some build like a 2-link, right? You still have your 6-link, and then it stores it up after that, and it just brings it to new heights. To give you another reference point, if you go into the POB and you look at your cyclone damage for this, the cyclone is going to be it's going to be about 600k on this build. I'll have the POB down below if you want to look at it. So without the POV fork, which is you have to change a line of like text in a notepad, and you'll be like, oh, 600k cyclone. That's pretty garbage, right? And it would be pretty garbage, but then you add on the POV fork to see the impale damage, and you're at 35 million. I'm using the savior, so if the saviors are on a single target like the Awakener, the Shaper, or any of the Conquerors, it is about 70 million. Okay, like, and I'm not even like, you know, like some people like check all the boxes. Like I have a 500% ignite, I have a 500% shock, unnerved, intimidated, monsters moving with like a bleed. I have 10,000% more damage because I'm simulating the maim on my helmet, because the helmet is 9% more physical damage taken, but I'm just gonna pretend that's a maim. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy shit going on in the PoE, but I promise you, when you're conservative, and once again you can see my PoE below, with the things that will actually be on the enemy, it's about 70 plus million damage, and it is crazy. You can see on last phase of Shaper, I'll include a clip. Of a no-link Shaper where I take off all 5 support gems. I'll include some other clips in there, so you can see that it's actually like 70 million damage on Shaper. Okay, it's just ridiculous, and I cannot stress enough that Impale is the thing that we're playing. Right, we're not playing Champion Cyclone. We're not playing, you know, Champion Flicker. We're not playing like Facebreaker Berserker. No, you are playing Impale. That is the thing. That is the build, okay? And so like that mechanic, everything revolves around this for the boss killing. So now let's talk about this node, okay? Armor and evasion, like this is whatever. Impale effect is very powerful here. And then so now you have a 20% chance to impale enemies on hit with attacks. This is important because on some builds, and especially if you're not going to go champion, you see this node right here. This is Impale effect, and you might have to take this point right here as well to get the Impale chance, right? You want to be at 100. You have to be at 100 because then it's very smooth, very consistent. Okay, so this like saves you some hassle to get the 100%. And if I'm not using Dread Banner, then I'm an easy 100%, right? Saves point. You might like laugh like, hey, oh, 1 point. No, 1 point actually kind of matters when you're min-maxing a boss killer build. Okay, so the Impale lasts 2 additional hits. Once again, watch MB Extreme's video. You'll see the spreadsheet of how the extra impales with the impale effect really multiplies your damage in a really crazy way. So this is insane. This one line right here is a 20 Exalt Watcher's Eye, which I do have. Actually, I have a better one, but I'll show you that in a second. So this one line is 20 Exalts. So you take this 2 nodes and you've just made 20 Exalts. Okay, it is that powerful, and it is worth that money in the Watcher's Eye. Okay, so with a champion, you'll have 9 impale stacks. Really OP. 9 impale stacks when I hit my whale haste on the boss, or if I don't have, let's say it's at 0.06, then that is 6. Let's just say it's like 0.06 times 9. That is 54. Just about half a second to get maximum impale stacks, and so you'll see the damage ramp up is like boom, guy's dead, right? So it's like a ramp up to get the 9 stacks, and then boom, the guy's dead. Okay. Boom. That's the damage right there. Okay, that was like pretty peak what I just did there, but that's to simulate the ramp up. Okay, next, armor, whatever, doesn't really matter. And then the nearby allies. Now this one is pretty crazy because added fizz and increased fizz and all these things are really crazy scalers to your damage. And so 6 to 12 added damage for each impale, and you have 9 of them, right? That's like 54 to 108 physical damage. I mean, if you look at my Herald of Purity right here, let me just show you that. Herald of Purity is 32 to 48. So you have more than 2 Herald of Purities added from just this node. It's just wow. Wow, I can't even get over how good Champion is. Let's talk about some of these. I don't go these just because for the purposes of what I use this guy for bosses, I don't feel that I would ever want to, I would ever benefit from these, because the people just do not live long enough for you to care about any of this or like any of this, right? So that's why I did not take that, okay? Let's talk about the Watcher's Eye. Because Impale stacks and Impale chance and Impale effect all tie into each other and make that mechanic the build, you're going to want to go with a Watcher's Eye. Now, Once again, the 2 additional stacks is 20 exalts. This one right here with a double damage roll on it is the best one in terms of like theoretical damage. So this turns it in from a 2 exalt one for just that 2 additional hits into probably a 100 plus exalt Watcher's Eye. It is just like, ooh, it is yeah, it is pretty expensive, but you know, if you want to min max, this is like the chase item. Okay, so but really all you really need is the 2 extra impale hits. I've tried out Shaper killing without the Watcher's Eye, without the weapons, without like basically making the character as gimped as possible, taking out the flasks, and let's just say the impale carries on its own. Other things to talk about on this skill tree is this is an important jewel to note. Okay, so Threads of Hope are really good this league. Now you obviously want a -10. That's the best roll because it's gonna take your resistances down not that much. You can see I am capped right here. And for bosses, there's no LE weakness, so you don't need 111 for Awaken or 8 LE weakness. Now, why I take the Thread of Hope here? Because if you look at this node right here that you can get, Blade Dancer is 24% increased damage, right? 6% attack speed. So just that alone would be over 3 points right there. So let's say you have a 4-point jewel socket, you've covered 3. You want to get 4 points of value on a perfect jewel, you just covered 3 of those points right there. Where's the extra point coming from? Well, you have like the melee range, doesn't really matter. You know, you have a little bit of the damage ailments, doesn't matter because like we're not really bleed focused. Enemy -10, it might be good depending on what level you are because there's a lot of that elsewhere on the tree. Really nice. But then let's look at this. So the totem here. So this one, the only line you care about really is the 50% increase effect of buffs that have been granted by the Ancestor Totem. And the Ancestor Totem that I use is this one, the Ancestral War Chief, right? Once again, we don't care about the damage. We put it in range and it gives us a more multiplier. I believe that right now it gives us 18. So this is 18% more melee damage while the totem is active, okay? So remember, more multipliers they multiply each other, so really powerful. And so definitely use the War Chief Totem over the Protector. Okay, this one is insane. So that is a huge multiplier that is worth, I'd say that this is worth the point of the jewel alone, and this is just a bonus. So that's why I took this one. There is another slot up here. You have a thing, I believe it's right here. If you want to go up here for whatever reason, you can Thread of Hope this area. With a large ring, and the reason you might want to do this, if for whatever reason early on maybe you can't get the Enlightened or whatever, or you need some stuff, there is a chance to get the Discipline and Training, which is a big defense, and then there is the Sovereignty, and the ring that extends from here, the large ring, it actually goes through 2 points. So it's not just 6%, it's 10% reduction. And that can help in certain cases. If you're playing Flicker, this is really important because Flicker does take up a lot more mana. You can't get it to be free. So these 2 points are really nice. And yeah, so that's like another swap up there that you can go if you want to do that, but that's going to take more points here and you're going to take some points elsewhere. Okay. It's just like a pretty standard sword tree. I even took this. Now I think that this is unnecessary. It's just kind of, like, you know, Soul Steel is like, it's nice, right? So for 4 points, I already have a high level character, 98, so I did take it, but I don't think you really need this. All the other stuff is, you know, pretty standard. I took extra damage, like right here. You don't really need this, and so you can kind of drop damage and health wherever you feel necessary. Now this one right here, Lethal Prods, I wouldn't divine your Lethal Prods more than like 10 or 20 times because all you're looking for is something that is usable. So this one I divined over 100 times, okay, to get what I have now, and I still don't think what I have right now is like that good, but it is a good jewel. I would divine it 10 to 20 times, get something usable, right? Melee damage, 30% melee crit chance, 5% strength. Well, you're going 5th, so you don't need 5% as extra fire, but 1% regen is very good. You know, like there's a lot of good stuff. Let me show you what mine has. Okay, mine has 5% DD. It has 20 fire res, not bad. It has 20% armor, which doesn't do anything. 20% melee damage, not bad. We have a 5% DD here, and then right here is 4% life. So for 100 plus divines I used, you know, it's all right. It's pretty good. That's 10% DD that stacks with my Watcher's Eye DD. Right? Whoa, Sir, what is that? That guy just posted a giant penis in my chat. Let's ban that guy. Okay, so that is why that is why Lethal Prod right here is really good, because you have so many options that are in range of this. Okay, you can't put it here. You could put it here, I guess, if you have a good one, but I just go right here. And as for the jewels, so these jewels, if you look at them, you need one corrupting blood jewel, right? That's always like on any build. And then if you look right here, we have crimson jewel here, which it doesn't have to be, but you're looking for, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said crimson jewel. I meant non-abyss jewels, okay? Because in my testing, I was like tinkering around in POB. The non-abyss jewels offer the best balance because you can get global damage, you can get attack speed, you can get like life very easily, and the best part is that they are cheap. You'd be very surprised at what kind of like 4 damage mod regular jewels, or like 1 life mod, 3 damage mod jewels you can get for under like 10C. Okay, it's kind of crazy right now. So what I decided to go for is I went with any combination of things like life, attack speed, damage that would affect me, right? So area damage in my case, you know, global damage, increased damage, and damage with one-handed swords, things like that. Okay, those are my jewels, and yeah, that's all there is to talk about the tree. Let's talk about gear. Okay, let's take a look here. So we're gonna talk about flats. I think that's easiest. Diamond flats, because the crit Impale is obviously better than non-crit. Like, I mean, in these days, crit is always better than non-crit, right? Also some like weird build you're doing. So I want to crit as much as possible, store as much damage, and of course, you know, like my crit chance is already pretty high if you look right here. So if I have, where is it? Offense 29. By going this diamond flask of the order, right? That's insane, because that 80% will multiply the base sword, which is 6.87, added to that, and then it's lucky, right? So let's just say that I have, let's say that I have like 35% crit, for example, right? Then my chance not to crit is only like 30%, I think. So this makes it a little bit smoother on the ramp up, but you know, your damage is gonna be crazy anyways. This one is a Lion's Roar. Lion's Roar is just a more damage multiplier, really nice. This is a Quicksilver. Quicksilver is for getting to the Conqueror and fighting Conquerors. You don't need an extra flask here if you're fighting Conquerors. Awakener, Shaper, and Uber Elder, you might want to get one of these. Now, why is this flask good as a swap for the bosses that have like longer fights? And that is because, well, it is a life flask, instant, but most of the time when you're gonna pop it before an Awakener phase, I can't refill it in town to show you, but when you have Blood Rage, right, you have a chance to gain Frenzy based on your kill. But if you're waiting for Awakener, there's no mobs in there. You can't just get the frenzies, right? And I'm not going to wear a Pharaoh's Fur because I don't think it's the right choice, in my opinion, for how short the phases last. You know, I just like a little bit of burst, so I'll pop the worms for the Shaper, for the Awakener. I'll get, like, on average, maybe 1 frenzy. It's enough, right? There's other ways you can get frenzies if you really want to go that route, and then that's a little bit of extra boosted damage, and I'll still have the life flask when I recharge. Okay, silver flask of heat, you know, nothing much to see here, just like, you know, speed. And then I use a Bottle of Faith, because Bottle of Faith, on the boss fights, these guys don't move, right? I mean, Uber Elder moves a little bit, but all the other Conquerors, Awakener, they don't move, so you're always getting the full effect of this, right? This feeds into the base crit for the Diamond Flask double roll too. So those are the flasks I use. Let's talk about this belt. This belt is ridiculous. The belt is a Rislatha's Coil, okay? Rislatha's Coil is pretty cheap. I mean, 100, 200C early on. Well, actually, early on it's like very cheap, but now I think it might be like 200C and over. Now, this one here is, why is it so crazy and like going forward? Because it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around. So I'll just explain like this. First, there's Catalyst. Catalyst might not be in the league in the future because it's a metamorph item, metamorph specific item, right? And that basically, it's called abrasive, and it makes your attack modifiers 20% more, right? So yeah. So let's talk about the second and the third line on the explicit. So the way that this works is, let's say you have a sword that is 10 to 100 damage. Okay, I'm just gonna make up these numbers, but you can kind of follow along. So let's say you have a sword that's 10 to 100 damage, and you are attacking once per second, right? So your average damage would be 10 plus 100, 110 divided by divide by divide by 2, and then times the 1 attack per second. So you're at 55, right? 55 DPS. Okay, nice. Let's say, like, for example, you had 40, just to use easy numbers, right? 40% more maximum damage. The 40, right? So 1.4 times the top end, 100, is 140, right? In this case, you essentially gained almost 40% more DPS. But what about the less multiplier? Because you're like, oh, wait a minute, now but I'm less damage on the bottom end, right? Isn't that going to hurt? Well, if you look at the range of rolls on the swords, the bottom end is a smaller number, right? By quite a bit. So in our example, if you have like 10 to, this is a more extreme example, you have a 10 to 100, and you have the belt that says like 30% less, you're now 7 to 140 instead of like, you know, 10 to 140, right? So that's like really crazy. And so you can kind of see when you average these out, you can look at like these weapons and stuff and average them. You're always going to get a massive shift up. It's like adding free flat physical, and it does add free flat physical as well because the abrasive affects that. You get life, and you get some life when you stun. It's probably not going to happen on bosses, right? Because I'm hitting really fast. So amazing belt here, best in slot. Okay, the gloves, I use these gloves to shore up my resist. These gloves are actually really, really cheap. Like the other stuff is like, I can't deny it's very expensive, but these gloves are kind of a joke, right? It's like, it's got a tier 1 attack speed, great. It's got a decently high life, and just 2 good resists, and I crafted on the 5 to 8 physical damage attacks for whatever reason. If you're a slayer or something else, I mean, you might even want, what is it, like 50% damage while leeching craft, which is like, I think that's like 1 exalt though, right? So it's, yeah, it's just what it is. It's pretty good, right? And now we have the boots, and boots, the best enchant is actually, for boss killing, is actually 16% attack speed, because when you pop the worms, you're gonna kill the worm right before the boss phases and activates and is ready to be damaged, and you'll get 16% increased attack speed, which is a massive damage increase. Okay, but I chose the regen because if I'm hit recently, which I'm often getting hit, I mean it's a little bit defensive, and it's also I just don't like running Uber Lab, and that's another reason. Okay, so 16%, but if you can't get it, anything else applicable is fine. The chest that I decided to go with is the socket attacks at 15% to total mana cost, because that makes my cyclone free, and having a free cyclone is nice because, you know, if you are attacking super fast, if it's if you choose to do maps, you have no regen, you know, that's fine. It just makes it way more smooth, and lets you add in whatever modifiers you want, even if there are massive mana cost modifiers. Like I would consider like 1.4 pretty high, right, as the mana multiplier. But yeah, I just went with minus 15. I have a base crit. Tier 1 is what you can filter by 1% and above. That's tier 1 attack crit. That makes it much more smooth, much more ramp up. And then we have a big life roll, and then just like a crafted max life and mana roll. The mana roll is not even like 8%. I should probably recraft that. And so that's pretty nice. Astral plate is really good because it's 36. Even if you don't have any other resist on it, which I don't, it's 36 total res. Okay. The rings. These rings are, well, this one is really expensive because it has vulnerability on hit. Before I got this ring, I was using a self-cast vulnerability. I was thinking about using a spell totem with a multiple totem linked to an Ancestral War Chief. So I gotta have 2 spell totems, 1 War Chief. 2 War Chiefs, 1 spell totem, casting all at the same time. But that's like super annoying, right, to do that. And it takes up sockets. So I'm like, no, let me just buy this one. This one's 30-something exalts because of the vulnerability and the 2 decent rolls on it, okay? So what these do is Herald of Purity is a aura that gives physical damage, right? So when you buff it, if you have 100%, it basically doubles it. Or let's say like in an example, the buff gives you like 40 damage, right? Then you put this on, you have 80 damage. You put on another one, you have 120 damage. So it gets really crazy, and physical damage added is crazy for this build, right? And then we have this one. Now this one was pretty cheap, because if you look at the non-divine ones, you want divine yourself. I don't know how much these are now, because I think that more and more people are going Impale once they see how crazy it is. A lot of people are playing it. They might be a little bit expensive now, but you know, when I bought them, this one was actually pretty cheap. This one was probably around like 10 exalts, I'd say. But I was like, wow, that's pretty nice, right? It has a global physical damage roll. If you want trash implicits, it'll probably be cheaper at the start of the league, because people usually make their boss killer as their second character. So those are the rings, right? Make sure that you get the buff effect. That is the most important one, because you can always divine it yourself. And then if you want the quality of life of not having to self-cast or totem a vulnerability or punishment, then you can get the vulnerability on the implicit. Very nice. Because I was like thinking about it, and my cast time on vulnerability was like like half a second or something, like a little bit less than half a second. And in half a second, I'm gonna do 35 million damage. So the guy, like most of the bosses are just gonna be dead. So like, why would I cast the vulnerability? It's something that I miss, right? Because if you cast when the boss isn't activated, you're gonna miss. If you cast after he's activated, but there's any like time after that, you're gonna have the cast time and you have that time where he's attacking you. So really scary, right? So that's why I went with this one right here. Amulet. Okay, these amulets are actually really cheap. So amulet slot can be very cheap unless you want to convert to Wear Claw Talisman, right? Because we're stacking a lot of multi on this build. These amulets, you can see I bought a bunch of them on stream to go through a talisman room. Basically, in the betrayal, you have if you get this one, I forgot who it is, but someone on tier 2. Don't go to tier 3 because that's attributes, which is fine as well. But tier 2 can turn your regular uncorrupted amulet into a talisman. You want Wear Claw because that's like 30 something crit multi, right? And I bought a bunch of them to try my room. Well, I bought 2 of them because you get 2 benches, and so these were, I don't know, they're like an exalt or 2 maybe for rolls like this. And the tenacity is actually expensive. Enchants 2 golden oils and a black oil, I think. I'm not really sure, but these amulets you would want to get into a Wear Claw if you can. Tenacity is a really nice buff because it takes a part of your increased maximum ES that you have on your character and turns it into damage. So pretty nice. But if you don't want to do that, if you need any like resist or you need some stats for whatever reason, or you want to go like some weird attack node like ambidexterity is really, really nice, by the way. You can annoy anything else you want. Okay. Let's go up the helmet. Abyssus. Okay, so Abyssus is 1.5 times a normie Herald of Purity aura. So it is not only a better Herald of Purity that's added on, okay, it is also up to 125 melee crit multiplier. That's just like ridiculous, right? Because like let's say you had like, I don't know, 375 crit multi, right? And you add another one, it's like whoa, let's you know, it's like I think like 350 is pretty fair for most melee builds, right? You add in this 125 melee, it's like you can't get this more multiplier to your damage anywhere else. This helmet is crazy. Physical damage taken sucks if you're fighting physical bosses. Like Baron's backhand, I think, has one-shot me before in like bad situations where I encountered him and I had like 4k life because I got tagged by some mobs entering. I think Baron has backhanded me and killed me before my Fortify was up. Once your Fortify is up on like the first hit, pretty much, right, the first like half second, you actually can't be one-shotted by the Conquerors. But like Fortified will nullify this to a certain degree, especially if you have like Fortified nodes and stuff like that. So Abyssus, I believe, is best in slot. The enchant is very expensive. Abyssus is not expensive. I made this one from scratch by buying a Ezomite Burjoni, and it had the attack speed, and then I trashed to treasured it because I wanted the double influence thingies, and then but okay, that's too much for this video. Other enchants are Blood Rage 12%, 150% of Lightning Golem. That will also be a big amount of attack speed. You can go Cyclone Damage. You can go. There's a lot of stuff you can go instead of this roll, but attack speed is so insane for Cyclone that I decided to min max and go with the 15%. Okay, so that's what I do there. And then let's talk about the sword. So this is a mirrored sword. This is a Glyph Song. I don't know if this will be available in future leagues because it's a very lucky roll on the influence, right? This is a 680 DPS sword. Okay, it is ridiculous. But okay, so on stream I have tested out once again the On's Mites, okay, which are significantly worse, but still get the job done and delete everything. And then I've tested out the Paradoxicas. Now the Paradoxicas, the things I was looking for was quality and attack speed, and then that's about it, right? If you want close to 200 DPS on a Paradoxica, you're going to look at about 20 exalts, okay? Worse ones, you know, can be quite cheap, and I promise you that a Paradoxica will get the job done to the extent where in the future I would never get one of these, right? Because the Paradoxica is it just covers everything, and it deletes content, like actually deletes it. What you saw on that Drox, the Paradoxica might be half a second behind, maybe in some instances, okay? So yeah, it's not necessary, but you know, if you have the money for it, why not, okay? Oh, this sword. Now this sword right here is absolute garbage. It is absolute garbage for mapping, okay? It's absolute garbage for mapping. For mapping, I would never want this. There are a couple cases, Consecrated Path and Flicker Strike, where it can be pretty cool, but in my build, it is straight garbage. The guys are lagging behind. They have like, I don't know what's going on with their AI, but they're never with you when you're trying to clear the target you're on, okay, or like the pack that you're on. They're always behind for everything except for like probably Flicker Strike and Concentrated Path. And even then, it's not reliable if you are going fast. So why is this good? Essentially, if you look in the POV fork, and I have 35 million DPS, they are a direct copy of you at the time that they are active. So what that means is if I'm whirlwinding around and I don't have my Lion's Roar and I pop my Lion's Roar, the clones will get the more multiplier at the time that you get the multiplier. So they are exact copies of you. You can think of it as doubling your damage, and that's how I get 70+ million DPS. And they are on these Conquerors, Awakener, Shaper. They are static targets, so they will be on there. They will have your DPS on there. And the best intangible is on the Awakener fight. When you're tagging him, there is a chance that the meteor, the little meteor barrage, bam bam bam, does target you. Sometimes it targets outside the arena, but sometimes it goes bam 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 on top of them, and when you see it coming with the flame geysers, you can just jump away and your saviors are still spinning with 35 million damage on that target, and the savior minions will proc the next phase. Okay, so yeah, it will proc next phases for you when you are in danger. And that is something that's pretty good. The price of the sword in future leagues, I have no idea. Right now I'm making this video. The sword's probably around like 12 to 15 exalts. I have no idea. But it is pretty good for bossing, and it gives you a level of safety that you can't get with other things. I have tested out, for the sake of testing, I did test out 2 glyph songs, okay? 2 glyph songs was actually, it felt sometimes worse than the savior, and a lot of times when I had to jump away from Awakener meteors, I would lose the damage completely. So overall, it's either a wash or the savior comes out on top. So I just like the savior. Okay, we're gonna know about gem links now. Gem links are probably the easiest part, so I'm gonna go over very fast. You see how I have a Herald reservation? I would buy a 60% increased fizz damage while you have the Herald of Purity, but that doesn't exist with a vulnerability implicit. If it did, it'd probably be like a mirror or something, right? Or maybe more. So because I don't have that, I settled for a 39% reduced mana reservation, and that is why I have an Empower linked to it to kind of simulate what I would be doing otherwise. If you have some nice corruptions, Helmet is a good slot with explicit roll, corruptions on boots. I think you can get like +2 duration, you can get other things. Whatever you have, I mean, even on gloves, you can get like maybe like +1. This one doesn't have a commandment on it. I probably want commandment of blades on this, okay? Or commandment of reflection. But the get the levels on the Herald of Purity if you can. I'm kind of simulating a good corruption or a good explicit helmet with this gem because I have the mana reservation for it, okay? And I have enlightened on it as well. Precision level 1, I could, because my what's it called, my cyclone doesn't cost mana, I could level up this precision, but there's really no need to in case I switch around stuff and I don't have the mana to cast this guy right here. See this? 67 mana. I could level this up so that my mana is just above 67. Or right here, like this one doesn't cost much mana. So if you don't have a Jolem, you really only need more than 11 mana. So then you can level up the precision a little bit more. But I chose not to do that. Over here we have Flesh and Stone. Now Flesh and Stone is really nice because it's more modifier. But when you equip the Maim with it, Maim you don't actually need quality on that. But the Maim, you can simulate this in PoB other ways. It is a pretty big damage increase. And then Pride, it's kind of funny that you won't get the full effect of Pride before the boss is dead, but this is a massive, one of the only more multipliers of fizz damage that we have. It's kind of weird, but it works, okay? And I have enlightened all of them, okay? Remember, like the increased non-curse aura effect that I have is applying to pretty much everything. Okay, the links, we have Cyclone. Cyclone, we have Close Combat. Okay, Close Combat is, I believe, 15 radius. 15 radius is like this. Let me show you. Oh my god, the misclicks. The misclicks in the video. Oh boy. Okay. Also, Lord Fluffy, thank you for the host. I'm making a YouTube video right now, so I can't, like, I can't full, like, just start, dabbing and, like, thanking you and stuff. But, so this stash right here, you see, like, let me move over a little. Like this is basically 15 radius. It's like somewhere around like this. Okay, it's like from Einhard to me. That's like probably 15 radius, right? No, it's probably a little bit closer. It's probably like this. That's like from his shoulder to me. That's like 15 radius. So you gotta be like, but because you're cycling, you're like inside of him, right? You're going through him when he's like shooting. You're like dodging and you go through him. You always have that, and that is that's one of the biggest more multipliers you can get, right? 60% more is kind of comparable to Awakened Gems somewhat. So I like that. But you don't have to go this. If you don't have Fortify in the sword, you can just get a Fortify in here. You lose 25% more multiplier, but you get the extra safety that's guaranteed on the first hit, right? Whereas I have to rely on percentages, which would take like, 0.3, 0.4 seconds to achieve, like 90th percentile achieve that Fortify, right? So, infused channeling, nothing to see here. There's just damage multiplier and some other like weird stuff. Impale support, I do go this because look at that. That's 62% increase impale chance. It does give me like the chance to impale. So if I took this off, I would not have the 100% impale chance, right? But that effect is a massive more multiplier. Support skills also deal 16% more physical damage. That's like competing more multipliers which go against each other, right? And also minus 30 isn't bad. You have too much of the -% of total physical damage reduction from the tree, from the ascendancy, from like the gear and stuff like that. But like it can't go below 0. That's just a note. So don't like never go out of your way to get more -% total phys damage reduction because you do not need it. Okay, the monster is basically naked at this point. Awakened Brutality. Also gives you a little bit, but it's for the 65% more multiplier. Okay, it's like really crazy. And then this one, Awakened Melee Fizz. Now this one's good because in the past era of any attack, if you're not a juicer using shackles and combs, you are basically looking at Tomb Fists. Okay, Tomb Fists are ridiculous. You get you get quad damage, 2 of those jewels. You can get some curse on there. You get the Intimidate, which is 10% more damage taken. So you were always in the past looking at Tomb Fist. Always, it was like number 1 in your mind. Am I going attacks? Yes. Am I mapping a boss thing? Tomb Fist, right? Now that Tomb Fist mod, Intimidate, right? If you had a Murderous Eye Jewel, which is a red jewel, is now moved onto this Awakened Gem. This Awakened Gem is about 10 exalts, so it's very expensive. And so what you're going to have is you're going to have more damage, but you're also going to have the chance to impale, right? 10% chance to impale basically means in 1 second you're gonna have that impale somewhere in that 1 second because of how fast you can do 0.9 times 20, right? That's your chance not to intimidate after 1 second. You're gonna intimidate them, and so that is a more multiplier, but it does not multiply the other sources. So you have that 20% from the Slayer, it adds together, so 20 and 30. Okay, and then so yeah, so that is really insane right there. That's the links that I'm using there. Dread Banner, I'm trying, because my Dread Banner is free, the way that something works when it says it's free, you can attach any supports to it and it'll always be free. So Dread Banner, we got Impale, we got Enhance to affect that, but more importantly, it's also affecting my Blood Rage, because the Blood Rage with the, the quality is like attack speed and stuff, so empowering that, enhancing that is pretty nice. Blood Rage gives me a lot of attack speed, give me a little bit of Leech, even though I already have Leech, but it's pretty nice, big more damage multiplier there. In here, so the War Chief is really nice, and the War Chief is looking like a Culling Strike. It does not matter what level you have here, right? The quality is something you might go for, because the faster that a War Chief attacks, the faster it can get the Cull off at the 10% threshold. Okay, so maybe like go over like a 123, should be pretty easy. Okay, the War Chief Totem, I mean, I have like a high level one, but you don't even need it, right? It's just there for the damage bonus and the culling effect, right? And it will cull like big bosses for you quite easily. The haste here, this is if you look at the buff, the type of attack speed you get on there, right? Like this enchant, 50% attack speed, right? It doesn't matter, it's Cyclone, it's not more multiplier, it's just 50% on the tree. That is like 20-30 exalts at this point, right? So when you can get a whale haste before the boss, right, or somewhere in that boss fight, then you're basically gaining like 20 to 50 exalts value from just popping this. So pretty good. And then here I have a Lightning Drum once again for attack speed. Attack speed scales really nicely. Leap Slam just to get around elevation, and pretty nice. You can also do a Fortified Leap Slam if you want. And then I have a Less Duration. Now the Less Duration here isn't for any of these. Okay, I think the Less Duration actually does affect the Lightning Drum, because the Lightning Drum puts out a little sparkly thing. It's like a Storm Brand, and that affects that attack. But like it's not for the Lightning Drum. This less duration support is for the minions, the Mirages, okay? And the Mirages can't be supported by, they can only be supported by like really duration things. They can't be supported by like minion damage, minion speed, like any like fizz damage things, any of that. but they can be sorted by increased duration, which makes them like I think like 17.2 seconds. If you want that, you don't need that. Or you go less duration, and this is 50% less, so they are 5 seconds, but because you're refreshing them with your crits, they'll never fall off, and it is 20% more damage. But not really 20% more damage, because if they are 100%, you're 100%, 20% more is only 10% more damage. But since they never go away, I might as well get the more damage on them, right? Pretty interesting choice there, but you don't need this either. You can put in, once again, you can put in a Fortify with a Leap Slam, you can put in anything else you want here. So yeah, this equates to like, if the things are on target in a perfect scenario, it's about like maybe like 10% damage. Okay, I think that's the build. Did I miss anything? Offhands? Oh, you can, since I'm Cyclone, you can, Cyclone's in the chest, you can use Invictus for Rampage. I'm just using it to level gems. And yeah, that's the offhand. And I think that's it. I think I talked about everything about the video. Impale it's really crazy, and Champion's really crazy. You should try it. Okay, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/qto_. Okay, that's the video. Bye. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching my video. Bye.